Producing clean or cultured meat without raising or slaughtering animals creates exciting new opportunity for the food industry. But will it require a new regulatory framework? And what do we actually call it? So to what extent are the FDA and USDA monitoring developments in the clean meat industry? Are officials from these agencies talking to attorneys like yourself or companies in the space to understand what the regulatory roadmap might be? And who is the relevant agency when it comes to jurisdiction?
Well, this is a good question. I think there's some misperceptions out there in the industry that these products are not regulated and that regulators don't know what to do with them and there's some kind of regulatory gap. And that's just not the case. These products can be regulated under the existing regulatory and statutory scheme. And regulators are very much expecting these products to come on the market. The National Academies of Science has recently issued a report which was done at the request of several agencies, including the FDA and the USDA, which looked at not only these products, but other products, food products, and other products that are anticipated to come out in the next 5 to 10 years. And the report specifically referenced clean meat, or they referred to it as cell-cultured meat, as an area for high growth potential, and also an area that can be regulated under existing regulations. I think the initial entry point for those conversations will be with the FDA, and the report, as I read it, referenced that as well. The companies in this space and attorneys in this space are having conversations with the agencies in order to prepare them for more formal conversations when the final products are in the market.
So you've talked about existing regulatory frameworks. So in terms of going to market, would clean meat have to go through, say, a GRAS process or a biotech regulatory framework, or could it just be treated like regular meat? And what kind of safety testing might be appropriate?
Yeah, so clean meat is food. It's a whole food. It's not a drug, a new animal drug, an additive, a supplement, or anything else. And the way that regulators regulate whole foods is through post-market mechanisms. They don't actually require any pre-market approval process for whole foods. That being said, it's in everyone's interest to make sure that regulators and companies are on the same page as to how these products will be regulated, ensuring that everyone knows that they're safe for consumers. I expect that there will be a consultation process with the USDA and with the FDA and potentially also with the USDA. But it will be a voluntary consultation process.
Okay. What about labeling? I mean, this is fascinating to me. What do we call this stuff on pack?
So, the FDA has sort of 3 ways they allow companies to label their products. And that is either, by a standard of identity, if there is one, by a common usual name, if there is one, and otherwise through an appropriately descriptive term. I think that using either 3 of those paradigms, the product could be called meat, hamburger, poultry, fish, the species of fish, whatever that individual product might be. In addition to that, however, I would expect that companies want to advertise the benefits of their products as being free from animal slaughter and clean.
But would that be on a voluntary basis? There wouldn't be necessarily a legal requirement for them to go beyond the common or usual name?
I think so, yes. I don't think there would be any affirmative requirement to label the products that way.
Okay, so we've talked about this before. We've already seen a big argument over the use of the term milk to describe plant-based products. And isn't this whole debate going to get even more complicated with the advent of biotech companies such as Perfect Day that are producing milk proteins without cows, by a microbial fermentation, and you can precisely replicate the nutrition and functionality of dairy products. There are also companies producing gelatin and egg white without animals. I mean, do we need to rethink what milk, meat, and eggs really are?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I don't think it has to be that complicated. But I definitely do think we need to rethink the sort of conventional standards of identity for those products. Like I said, products do not have to be labeled with a standard of identity. Just because a standard of identity exists for a product, I don't believe under the existing regulations companies can't use that term where they don't meet that definition, such as the arguments that are happening with plant-based milks. But I also think that the FDA is recognizing that and moving away from standards of identity and allowing companies to label their products in ways that are just accurate and informing consumers what the products are and allowing for innovation.